Hi there, thanks for clicking on this video. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Roberto Blake. I'm a creative entrepreneur and I'm a public speaker. And there was a point in my life where I was really struggling with a lot of things. I was a broke college student. And when I say I was a broke college student, I mean I couldn't afford to go to a good school. I was going to community college. I paid for it cash because I didn't want to start my adult life in debt. I didn't want to be beholden to anybody. And unfortunately, it's not something where my parents were able to do it for me. I'm making this video because there are a lot of people who email me or message me on social media and tell me that they're struggling financially, they're broke, they feel completely defeated in life, they're depressed, they have real problems, and they feel that money or having more money would solve those problems for them, and I can completely identify with that. Not having money sucks. It really sucks because money is a form of power in today's modern world, but it's not the only form of power that there is. Money is a tool. It is a tool used to buy and leverage people's time, probably your time right now. It is a tool used to buy resources, material resources that allow you to produce something of value. It took money to buy the camera equipment that I'm using to make this video right now. That makes it a means of getting a resource that lets me produce something that adds value to the market, value to the world, and that I'm able to make money back with to then provide resources for myself, resources in the form of electricity and housing and other things. So when people tell you money doesn't matter, I think what they're saying is money doesn't matter to them where they are right now. Meaning that it's not the most important thing that they weigh when they're making a decision. That's called financial freedom. And I think it's something that more of you want. So in exchange for absolutely nothing but your time and your attention, I'm going to tell you some of the things that helped me go from broke to actually having financial freedom, being able to make a substantial income both when I was working through college as a freelancer to be able to help me pay for that cash, and also when I transitioned out of that into a good high-paying career profession, graphic and web design, later marketing, and then later I had the opportunity to run my own business, which I continue to do today, which supports me and allows me to do amazing things. I'm not selling you a course. I'm not selling you a get-rich-quick scheme. I'm not selling you anything in this video. The one thing that I'm going to ask of you is that maybe you consider subscribing to this channel because there will be other resources and other training videos, tutorials, and many other things that might help you in the future. So if you want to click the subscribe button, click notifications, and then find the content here that can help you, since I've made over 1,000 videos to help people in your situation, then that would be awesome. And I think that you get a lot out of that. It certainly helps me. So that's all I'm going to ask for. Well, that I'm going to ask you for a commitment to invest in yourself and invest in your skills. Because you see, the thing that helped me was I started thinking about money differently and I started thinking about time differently. When I was coming up and I was maybe, I want to say about 17 years old, and I started working a regular job. I was working at the mall. Back then, $6 an hour was the minimum wage, and it felt like good money at the time. But what that would mean is that in an 8-hour day, my maximum earning potential was going to be less than $100. It's going to be less than $100. I wasn't even going to be able to earn $80 in a day for working 8 hours on a base salary. And after taxes, it was going to be close to $40 for a full day of my time. Imagine that a full day of your time is only worth $40. It means that if you literally worked every single day with no days off, with that being your maximum earning potential, then you would earn only $15,000 for the entire year if you're lucky. If you're lucky. So just think about that. Trading time for money is the most sure and simplest way, the most easy way that you can make money. And I'm not saying that what you're doing is easy. I'm saying is the easiest trade that you can make for money is that pay me X amount of dollars for X amount of time. Now, if you don't have a high level skill, if you don't have the ability to offer skilled labor, something that comes in the form of either technology or a high level of difficulty or uniqueness and creativity, then it means that your earning potential, your ceiling is set extraordinarily low. If you were lucky, then maybe the maximum of that non-skilled labor might look like $20 an hour or so, which means that your maximum earning potential per day is $160. Now, while that's certainly better than $40, it means if you worked every single day, and even though that's definitely got to be more than what we talked about earlier, it still means that that's about maybe $60,000 a year. And that's if you worked every single day. Maybe it's about $60,000 a year or so, which doesn't sound bad, but that's going to be taxed, so you're not taking that home. There's also the cost of whatever you have going on with childcare. If you're a parent, your cost of insurance, your cost of your gas to drive and to travel to work, clothing, things you need to look appropriately for your job, especially if you're somebody who's in a leadership role. So these things all add up and they eat up your money, and you're never going to get more time in the day. And even if you did, that wouldn't be healthy for you to work more than those 8 hours a day, plus the hour or so that you're there for lunch, which still takes time away from you, and then maybe the hour or change that you lose in the commute. Some of you are doing an hour plus commute on top of doing a 9 to 10 hour day at work. So you're losing 12 hours out of a 24-hour day, and you still need to rest and sleep. So how much time does that leave you for living an actual life or taking care of your family? So one of the first parts of your transformation here is that you have to think about money differently, and you have to think about time differently. And so instead of thinking as a laborer, as someone that is trading time in exchange for money, I need you to start thinking about how you can move to trading a task for money, and how that individual task is valued regardless of time. You see, when I became a freelancer, I learned that I can either charge by the hour or I could charge by the project, by the task. And once I started to get very comfortable with my skill and realized that something that used to take me an hour to do was starting to take me half an hour, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, I began to realize one of the most important secrets in life, that I was being rewarded for my efficiency instead of my effort. If you sell your time, you will never be rewarded for your efficiency because you are making less money to perform more effectively and faster, which makes no sense because that's more difficult to do and it speaks to a higher overall level of skill and ability. That is ludicrous. It is wildly unfair, and it does not incentivize and reward productivity, working smart, and being effective and having experience. It completely devalues you. Now, before we ever finish this video, that's probably one of the most important lessons you've ever learned, but I'm going to tell you before the end of this video what you can do about it and how you can start making real money, and I'm not going to drag this out. I'm just trying to walk you through and help you truly wrap your head around why there are people out there that are not that much smarter than you, not that much more talented than you. They know a few special things that you don't know that allows them to make infinitely more money than you right now. Now, even though I learned this lesson very young in my early adulthood, it took a while for it to really sink in and for me to do something about it. The other difference was the technology and the culture of our time wasn't caught up with where I was heading just yet. But I started doing little odds and ends things that only I could do, and it made a huge difference. For example, because I was very good with computers, everyone wanted me to help them either fix a problem that they had with their computer or help them install software because they felt it was complicated, or to literally sit there and what seems like elementary right now, to install antivirus software for them and do a scrub of their computer and optimize their computer. And it sounds insane, but it meant that people were paying me $50 or $60 for something that was taking me 30 to 45 minutes to do. Which means that if I could do that and fill that up with a day, I could literally spend 3 hours in a day making about roughly what I was making at the mall in a week. And this is how I earned the extra money that I needed in college. I was taking my spare time and I was doing little tasks for people that were technical in nature that I could do because I was a big old computer nerd. And it felt really complicated to a lot of these older folks in my town that, didn't understand computers, but they were willing to pay somebody who did. And so by doing this task and doing this higher skilled labor, this thing that they didn't know how to do, special knowledge that I had that they didn't, they were willing to pay me what seemed like an extraordinary amount of money if you value it by time instead of by how it addresses the pain, how it relieves the pain that they currently had. They decided that getting this thing done was worth a certain amount of money to them to just get rid of their anxiety, and they were willing to pay it. And that's fine. That's called letting the market determine value. So all of a sudden, I can make more money in an hour doing something based on my smarts instead of doing something based on my physical effort and labor. I was being rewarded for my efficiency and for my intelligence, and that's the market you want to play in. Now, if all that sounds good, you're probably asking, well, Roberto, how do I do this? How do I develop a new skill? I don't know how to do this. I didn't go to college for it. Will anybody pay me for these things without a certification and a degree? And the answer is yes. No one cares about a certification and degree unless it's like a corporation or a Fortune 500 company, or unless they do. But I think you are drastically underestimating the number of people in the market that only value a result and not a pedigree. Not a pedigree. Do you ever wonder where the word degree comes from? The word degree comes from the word pedigree. It comes from these credentials and paperwork that approve your credentials and your status. There are a lot of people that aren't interested in that, don't have time for it. They just want to see proof of your skills and ability and your body of work. That's it. There are a lot of people, entrepreneurs like myself. I've hired people for tasks and jobs, and 99.9% of the time, I am not asking if they went to school for it or if they had a degree. Show me the work and tell me your rate. That's it. Small business owners just care about results. It's as simple as that. Do you have results? Do you have someone that can recommend you? Those referrals matter a lot more to me than what a school says, because those are academics. They may or may not be people who understand the marketplace, may not understand how my business works. Not really interested in that. I'm interested in what another business owner had to say. I'm interested in what the last person who worked with you had to say. And more importantly, I'm interested in what I see with my own eyes and what my own gut tells me. And that's how most of us spend our money. We trust our eyes, we trust our gut, and we trust what our friends or our contemporaries or even our competitors have to say. It's that simple. Now, the good news is, if you want to develop a technical skill, it's a lot easier now than when I was 18 years old. I graduated in 2002 from high school, so that's when I was, turning 18. That was a considerable amount of time ago. I'm 34, so that was a good chunk of change ago. That being said, the world and the internet and the online space has changed. Information and education is more accessible than ever, and I've done literally hundreds of tutorials on this channel that could give someone a new skill. You could learn something like graphic design. You could learn something like Photoshop. You could learn something like website coding. You could learn mobile app development. You can learn these things in a 30, 60, or 90-day period with the same free time that you're spending on your smartphone or watching television to de-stress or cool down after a day of work. And I know that that might sound intimidating or it might sound impossible, but I want you to understand how college works too. Remember, I went to community college. You sit in a classroom for 90 minutes per lesson, twice or 3 times a week in a 9-week period. What if you concentrated that time and you actually performed at those skills and you practiced and trained for 30 or 60, 90 days on your own? If you put in an hour a day throughout the week after work, and if you put in 2 or 3 hours on the weekends into this, all of a sudden you start to learn at an accelerated rate by focusing on just learning one thing, which means that it's not absurd for me to tell you that you can learn a single skill that can raise your value and make you worth a lot more to a potential employer in just 30, 60, or 90 days. It's not hokum, it's not bunk, it's just thinking about the hours instead of thinking about the time. When the time is spread out like that, it just seems like it's much more valuable and you're paying this higher rate. And I'm not knocking the teachers. I'm saying that the education system at this point is a business, and you have to understand how that business is run, and that they're able to charge you because they're able to draw out the time. But if we change this to value and we start thinking about efficiency, and let's say you got rid of some of the extra courses, you get rid of English, you get rid of the math, you get rid of the science. Let's say you go to vocational training and it's just about the skill. Now things just got very interesting now, didn't they? And this is the beauty of the age that you live in. The age that you live in means that if there's something very specific you want to do, then someone who is passionate about it, somebody who's already done it, and someone who's already made money at it, someone who's already lived that profession, that skill, or that career, has probably given that information for free away in the form of videos on YouTube, LinkedIn, online courses that might be very affordable compared to a college tuition, or in the form of audiobooks, videos on YouTube, podcasts. There's so many ebooks. There's so many opportunities for you to get skills and knowledge and learn. Before I went to college for graphic design, back in that time, web design wasn't even considered a real profession. How the times have changed. When I went to school, my professor still wanted to teach us print newspaper advertising skills, and I argued that teaching us banner ads and teaching us web design was more important. But it's not something they'd done for a decade, so they weren't comfortable to teach it. In fact, by that time, I'd been paid to design more websites and had a higher level of proficiency in HTML coding, CSS, and JavaScript than any of the professors teaching at my college. In fact, I actually took over the week that we spent on web design and had to help all of the students with their projects in Dreamweaver back when Macromedia owned it instead of Adobe. Just kind of showing my age a little bit here. And I don't say that as a humble brag. I say that as a point that if you educate yourself with the resources and the tools and the technology of your time, it's always an advantage, because even back then, there was no YouTube. There wasn't even, I don't think, a Google just yet. The thing was Yahoo and GeoCities and all of those things. Instead of having tutorials to teach web design on YouTube, back then we had something called codemonkey.net. I mean, it's pretty embarrassing how primitive the internet was back then as an online learning tool, but yet it was enough to teach me something that allowed me to make a lot more money than I was making by trading my time when I had nothing that was valuable in that particular type of market just yet. So how do you make money, and how do you find people who will pay you without a degree? How do you find people who will pay you for your skills? Well, in my case, one of the things you could do if people aren't asking you for this directly, or no one's made an introduction to you, you can go to your local small business association, pick up all the business cards of all the local business owners, and then cold call them, email them, introduce yourself, and tell them what you have to offer in terms of a skill set, and see if that's something that they need, and then show them your work and negotiate. And you can learn a lot about negotiation. I think that there are plenty of videos on YouTube. I think some of my favorite come from Ramit Sethi. I'll link to maybe one or two of his videos down below on negotiating. I think that a lot of you also could look at websites like Upwork.com. They're not a sponsor. I'm just telling you, go there, sign up. I hire people from Upwork all the time. You could look for freelance gigs in your local Craigslist listing. There's all kinds of like odd jobs that people need done that might require your skills. Photography was something I did as a freelancer when I was in school. I made money being a second shooter, a photo assistant on the weekends, and it helped me. I actually worked for one of my professors doing that and some of the other local photographers. When I branched out on my own, it meant in a weekend I could clear 500 on a bad weekend as a wedding photographer, and when I could get something good, I could clear 1,200 in a weekend. You have to remember, this is in the early 2000s. That money went a lot further back then, and for some of you, that might be astronomical money for just a day or two of work. So just really consider that there are a lot of opportunities out there, and you may not be passionate about any of these things just yet, but they will allow you, if you're struggling financially, to dig yourself out and to be able to invest in yourself and to be able to take care of yourself if that's what you need and you need money to literally survive. There are things that you can do, but to get those skills, you might have to give up spending an hour on your phone. You might have to give up watching, funny viral videos on YouTube. You might have to give up hanging out with your friends or going out to the club. You might have to give up maybe just 30 minutes of sleep on average every day. And once you dig yourself out of the hole, you can sleep in if you want. That's the beauty of being able to create financial freedom for yourself. So like I said, try to just take advantage of that free time, whatever free time you can scrounge up. And if you're saying you can't do it Monday through Friday, then just spend the whole weekend doing nothing but learning a new skill and then trying to apply that skill and to make some extra money with that skill. And your life will change. It will improve. I remember being broke and not being able to come up with the $5 for gas money for my friends for helping me get to school to help me. And the thing is, I learned a lot from my experience in college. I recommend that a lot of you consider going to community college. Look, if you really still want a degree because your parents are just going to ride you and shame you, or society's going to shame you or whatever, then go to community college the first 2 years and don't be embarrassed, because all anyone cares about is where you do the last year of your degree and what the piece of paper says. You don't have to go to a fancy school and pay a lot of money for 4 years and start your life in astronomical debt. You can do 2 years or more in community college. If you have a 4-year community college, do 3 years in that community college, transfer the last year to the local university, and then just get the piece of paper and shut those people up. Do not start your adult life 6 figures in debt to never have the opportunity to make a 6-figure salary. It is absurd and it is a racket. Like I said, I have nothing but respect for teachers and educators. It's a hard gig, but the system that they're forced to operate in doesn't even let them do all the things that they would like to do and what I want to do with no agenda, because my job doesn't depend on it and I'm not selling anything to you in this particular video. All I want to sell you on is the idea that if you stop trading time for money, your life could get infinitely better because you have a skill and a task and a trade that you can make that's infinitely more valuable to the market and infinitely more lucrative for you than just trading time and just trading non-skilled labor. I want you to think about investing in your education in a whole different way, and that's something you can do completely independently to acquire a skill. A skill is more valuable than a degree. Everyone says that your education is the best investment you'll ever make. They're not wrong. The problem is that people are interchanging the word education for a degree. And education is valuable. I would argue in the current economy, the current market, that a degree is not, when we see people graduating with 4 and 6-year degrees, unable to get work, either being told they're overqualified or that there's no positions available for their particular degree. But you know what there always is? There's always a need and a demand for skills and talent that there is a demand for in the market, and all you have to do is look at what the market is saying and what the market is paying for and how much they're willing to pay. That's it. If you try to invest 4 to 6 years of your life in a degree based on you thinking it's a good degree and that there are jobs there, that could change, that could pivot, that could go away. But if you always decide to be a lifelong learner on your own terms and take advantage of accessible things. Now, granted, you can't do this if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or, a police officer or a firefighter. I understand that there will have to be professional training and degrees and college and all of these things for that. You want to be a dentist? Great, go to college. Absolutely. But it's not for everybody. And it's being marketed to you as if it is for everybody. And I worked in marketing and advertising, and you can make up your own mind. I want you to use your own best judgment, and I want you to do the real math again. I laid some of these numbers out for you for a reason. I want you to take it seriously. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. It is a little bit different than what I normally do. Usually on this channel, I offer you guys either creative career advice, or I use a training tutorial to give you a new skill, or I introduce you to a piece of technology that can help you in your current career or in your current small business. And I do a lot of videos that pertain to entrepreneurship and leveraging tools and technology, whether it's software or social media. So if you want to learn, grow, acquire those skills, maybe build a business or get a career in the industry, then I hope you'll subscribe to this channel, hit notifications so you actually get the videos that you want, that you signed up for. And, I would invite you to read some of my articles over on the blog. I'll link to that in the description down below. You can also, subscribe and listen to the podcast while you're in the car or while you're at work, if that's something you want to do. And I just hope that I'm creating some type of value for you. This is literally something I've experienced and lived and continue to live, and that I've seen happen in the lives of literally hundreds, if not thousands of people. And I think that we need to have honest conversations like this. I hope you guys got some value out of this video. I think it is one of the most important things I've ever talked about here on the channel. If you are new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, my name is Roberto Blake. I'm a creative entrepreneur. I have over 1,000 videos here on YouTube, but YouTube's not my full-time job. I run a successful consulting business. I am a paid public speaker. There are a number of online ventures that I do, and I learned these things on my own. It's not something I learned in school. I went to school for graphic design and advertising, and I learned a lot more working as a graphic designer and working in the world of marketing and advertising than I ever learned at school. I learned a lot more on the internet before I even went to college about this industry. And that's in the early days of the internet by actually doing it. I learned more about business and making money when I was in high school than I ever did in college. And, again, it's not a knock at teachers. It's just that when you discipline yourself, when you invest in yourself, when you educate yourself, it's probably one of the best investments you can ever make. The best investment you're going to make is in yourself every single time. I would rather that you put $10,000 betting on you than $80,000 to $100,000 betting on a degree. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Do me a huge favor. Subscribe to this channel if you think it can help you. If anything I said resonated with you, subscribe to the channel, hit notifications, see if any of the other videos are going to help you out whenever I put those out on the internet. And also do me a favor. If this video you think is helpful to somebody in your life, please share it with them. If you think it's helpful to anyone at all, just share it in social media. If you have questions, you want to know more about these things, leave me a comment down below. Tell me why you're struggling financially and what skill you think could totally change your life. And if there's something that's in my wheelhouse, I will make a video about it. I'm telling you, I will do whatever I can to help you in terms of my knowledge and giving you that knowledge up front here in the internet for free. As always, you guys, thanks so very much for watching. And don't forget, go out there and create something awesome today. Take care.